Life will break you if you let it. Pain will come, betrayal will come, people will test you, and the world will not care about your feelings. But listen to me carefully. Your emotions are not meant to control you. You are meant to control them. Every time you explode in anger, every time you let sadness paralyze you, every time fear whispers in your ear and you obey, it steals from your strength. It robs your destiny. The truth is, nobody respects the man or woman who cannot master themselves. You can build muscles, you can make money, but if a single word can break you, you are weak. Life respects discipline. Life rewards control. When you feel rage boiling inside, that's your test. Hold it, redirect it, use it as fuel to conquer. When sadness comes, stand tall. Remind yourself that suffering is temporary, but quitting lasts forever. When fear comes, look it in the eye and act anyway. Power belongs to those who remain unshaken no matter what storm rages within. Control your emotions and you control your future. Because at the end of the day, the strongest weapon on this planet is not fire, not steel. It is an unbreakable mind. Every single person walking this earth has emotions, but very few have control over them. That is the difference between those who rise to greatness and those who remain trapped in mediocrity. Master emotions or be mastered by them. It is that simple. The moment you allow anger, fear, sadness, jealousy, or doubt to run your life, you have surrendered your power. And once you surrender control, life will throw you around like a leaf in the wind. This podcast, you cannot build strength, you cannot achieve greatness, and you cannot lead if you are enslaved by the chaos inside your own mind. Think about how many times emotions have cost you opportunities. Someone insulted you, and instead of staying calm and strategic, you exploded. Your anger didn't make you stronger, it made you look weak. Or maybe you felt fear before taking a risk, and instead of pushing forward, you retreated. That hesitation stole from your future. Sadness? Many drown in it, paralyzed, waiting for someone to save them. But nobody is coming. The truth is brutal. Emotions are natural, but they are not supposed to be your master. They are signals, not commands. They whisper, but you decide whether to act. Strength comes when you recognize emotions as tools, not rulers. Anger can destroy, but it can also drive you to work harder, fight harder, and refuse defeat. Fear can paralyze, but it can also sharpen your senses and prepare you for battle. Sadness can drown you, but it can also teach you gratitude for the moments of joy. The difference lies in your control. Do you direct the fire, or do you let it burn your house down? Do you steer the storm, or do you get lost in it? That choice is where power is born. The world respects the individual who does not break under pressure. People are drawn to the one who stays calm while others panic, who thinks clearly when emotions are raging all around. That's the kind of control that separates leaders from followers. If you want to be respected, if you want to be remembered, you must learn to hold your emotions in your grip and channel them with precision. Exploding without control is easy. Crying endlessly is easy. Running from fear is easy. But greatness does not live in easy. Greatness is in the discipline to feel everything, yet be ruled by nothing. Mastery does not mean you suppress emotions or pretend you are made of stone. It means you acknowledge them, you understand them, and then you use them as fuel. When someone disrespects you, let the anger remind you of your worth and push you to prove them wrong with results, not reactions. When fear creeps in, let it remind you of the importance of the moment, and then push forward despite the shaking hands. When sadness weighs you down, let it be the reason you rise. Because nothing is permanent. Not joy, not pain, not failure. Mastery is not rejection. Mastery is transformation. Life is a battlefield, and emotions are the loudest weapons aimed at you every day. If you cannot control them, you are defeated before the fight even begins. The greatest victories are not in conquering others, but in conquering yourself. When you hold command over your emotions, nobody can manipulate you, nobody can use your weaknesses against you, and nobody can break you with words, betrayal, or hardship. You become untouchable, not because life is easy, but because your mind is stronger than whatever it throws at you. Understand this clearly. Control is freedom. If your happiness depends on circumstances, you are a slave. If your peace depends on other people, you are chained. But if you master your emotions, you carry your strength everywhere. The world could collapse around you, yet you will walk forward with clarity and power. That is real freedom. Knowing nothing outside of you can dictate who you are inside. So ask yourself today, are you the master or are you the slave? Do you command your emotions or do they command you? Every decision, every reaction, every moment of weakness or strength comes back to that. Do not let emotions rob you of opportunities, relationships, or dreams. Train yourself daily. When anger rises, breathe and decide, not react. When fear whispers, take action anyway. When sadness lingers, remind yourself it is only a chapter, not the whole story. Control is built like muscle through repetition, discipline, and the refusal to surrender. At the end of life, you will not be remembered for how you felt. You will be remembered for what you did. The world does not care if you were scared, sad, or angry. It remembers results. And results come only from those who master themselves. Master emotions or be mastered by them. One path leads to strength, respect, and unshakable power. The other leads to weakness, regret, and a wasted life. The choice is yours, but understand this. The strongest force on earth is not someone else's opinion, not money, not power. The strongest force is an individual who commands their emotions like a weapon and refuses to bow to anything, inside or outside of themselves. That is true dominance. That is true freedom. That is mastery. Anger, sadness, and fear are emotions most people try to run from, suppress, or deny. But the truth is, these emotions are not enemies. They are raw energy. They are fire. Left unchecked, they burn you from the inside and destroy everything in their path. But if you learn to redirect them, they become the most powerful fuel you will ever have. Every champion, every leader, every warrior has felt anger, sadness, and fear. The difference is that they did not allow these emotions to chain them down. They used them to rise above. Anger is one of the most misunderstood emotions. Society tells you anger is dangerous, and yes, it is when it controls you. But anger is also proof that you care. It is the flame inside that refuses to accept disrespect, mediocrity, or failure. When you allow anger to control you, you shout, you fight, you break things, and in the end, you weaken yourself. But when you master anger and redirect it, it becomes discipline, determination, and focus. The man who feels anger after losing but channels it into training harder becomes unbeatable. The woman who feels anger after rejection and uses it to push harder in her career becomes unstoppable. Anger is not the problem. Lack of control is. The fire that destroys can also power the engine of greatness when aimed at the right target. Sadness is heavy. It drags you down, makes you want to stop, isolates you. But sadness carries within it a hidden strength, reflection. Sadness reminds you of what you lost, what you valued, and what mattered most. If you drown in it, sadness becomes depression and paralysis. But if you stand up and redirect it, sadness becomes wisdom and drive. The person who loses someone they love and allows sadness to swallow them may never recover. But the one who uses that sadness as motivation to live stronger, to honor the memory, to create meaning from pain, that person becomes powerful beyond measure. Sadness teaches empathy, resilience, and gratitude. It sharpens your perspective, reminding you that life is fragile and every moment counts. Redirected sadness is the birth of strength. Fear, perhaps the strongest of them all, is often treated as weakness. People are taught to avoid fear, to deny it, but fear is energy and energy is fuel. Fear warns you of danger, but it also highlights where growth is waiting. If fear stops you, you stay small. But if fear pushes you forward, it becomes courage. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the mastery of fear. A soldier on the battlefield feels fear but steps forward anyway. That is power. An entrepreneur feels fear before risking everything but still builds. That is greatness. Fear is a compass pointing to the areas of life where transformation is possible. Redirect fear and it becomes fuel for action, forcing you to grow into the person you were meant to be. The common thread between anger, sadness, and fear is this. They are energy. Energy can destroy, or energy can build. Most people waste their energy by reacting instead of directing. They lash out in anger instead of focusing it. They collapse in sadness instead of growing from it. They freeze in fear instead of acting with it. But the masters, the ones who rise above, they understand emotions are not chains, they are weapons. Same fire that burns your house can forge your sword if you take control of it. The reality is you will never escape these emotions. No matter how disciplined, no matter how successful, life will give you reasons to be angry, to be sad, to be afraid. The key is not to eliminate them, but to embrace and channel them. When anger hits, ask yourself, how can I use this to become better? When sadness strikes, ask, what can this teach me and how can I honor it by growing? When fear comes, ask, what does this mean I must face to evolve? In these questions lies power. People respect those who master themselves because they radiate strength. Imagine two men face the same betrayal. One explodes in anger, ruins relationships, and collapses. The other channels the same anger into self-improvement, into building success so undeniable the betrayal looks like a joke in hindsight. Who is stronger? Imagine two people lose their job. One sinks into sadness, complaining and giving up. The other uses the sadness to fuel their hunger, rebuilds, and comes back with 10 times the success. Who is respected? Imagine two individuals face fear. One hides, one acts. The one who acts, despite trembling hands, is remembered forever. You see, emotions are not signs of weakness. They are proof of humanity. What separates the weak from the strong is how they respond. Weakness is in reacting blindly. Strength is in redirecting with purpose. The truth is, the greatest breakthroughs in life do not come from comfort or calmness. They come from moments when anger drove someone to change their reality, when sadness pushed someone to rise from rock bottom, when fear forced someone to take the leap. Every great story of triumph is built on these emotions, redirected into fuel. So stop running from anger, sadness, and fear. Stop treating them as enemies. Start mastering them. When life throws pain your way, you have two choices. Let it break you or let it build you. Redirect the fire, redirect the heaviness, redirect the trembling. Use every emotion as fuel for your journey. The most powerful version of you is not the one who feels nothing, but the one who feels everything and bends it to their will. Anger, sadness, fear. These are not curses, they are gifts. If you redirect them, they will carry you to heights you never thought possible. Respect is not given freely, it is earned. And one of the greatest sources of respect is emotional control. People admire strength, they admire composure, they admire the one who does not break under pressure. Emotional control earns respect and power because it shows mastery of the self. Anyone can shout, anyone can cry, anyone can panic when things go wrong, but only the strong can stand calm, composed, and deliberate in the middle of chaos. That calmness is what makes others listen, follow, and trust. Think about the moments in your own life where you lost control. You shouted at someone in anger, and instead of solving the problem, you damaged trust. You broke down in sadness, and instead of appearing strong, you appeared weak to those who relied on you. You froze in fear, and instead of moving forward, you let opportunity slip away. Each time you lose control, you lose power. But when you control your emotions, when you stay unshaken while others crumble, you command respect. People see strength in your silence, authority in your calmness, and power in your restraint. Emotional control is not about pretending you feel nothing. It is about choosing how to act regardless of how you feel. A leader who panics when problems arise will never be respected. But a leader who stays calm, makes decisions with clarity, and refuses to let emotions cloud judgment will be trusted by everyone around them. When you control yourself, you show the world that you are bigger than your impulses. That is rare, and rarity is respected. Power does not always come from money, status, or physical strength. Power comes from the ability to influence, to command attention, to hold authority in any room you walk into. And nothing creates that kind of power more than emotional control. Imagine walking into a room full of people arguing, shouting, and panicking. Now imagine one person remains calm, collected, and unshaken. Instantly, every eye will turn to them. Without saying a word, they command presence. That is the silent power emotional control creates. Weakness is revealed when emotions spill uncontrollably. The man who cannot control his anger looks unstable. The woman who collapses into tears at every setback looks fragile. The individual who lets fear dictate every decision looks powerless. People do not respect instability, they respect steadiness. And steadiness comes from emotional mastery. The one who stays balanced, no matter the storm, earns both respect and influence. History is filled with examples of this. Warriors in battle respected the generals who stayed calm when death surrounded them. Athletes respect coaches who remain composed when the game is on the line. Nations respect leaders who speak with control and confidence even when the future is uncertain. These figures gain power because their emotional control makes others believe in them. If you cannot control yourself, why should anyone trust you to control anything else? Emotional control also protects your power from being stolen. People will test you. They will insult you, provoke you, try to make you react. The moment you lose control, they win. They have exposed your weakness and taken your power. But when you remain calm, when you respond with precision instead of reaction, you take their power instead. You show them that nothing they do can shake you. And that earns not only respect, but fear in the minds of your enemies. Emotional control is a shield that no one can pierce. Beyond respect from others, emotional control gives you inner power. When you master yourself, you gain freedom. You no longer live as a slave to anger, sadness, or fear. You make choices based on logic, vision, and purpose rather than impulse. That freedom allows you to move with confidence, to take risks others avoid, and to achieve what others cannot. Inner peace and outward respect are both born from emotional mastery. But emotional control is not built in a single day. It requires training, discipline, and self-awareness. You must test yourself daily. Hold your tongue when anger tempts you to lash out. Stand tall when sadness tempts you to collapse. Take action when fear tempts you to retreat. Every time you win against your emotions, you grow stronger. Every time you let them win, you weaken. Power is forged in these small victories until one day you become unshakable. And until one day you become unshakable. People may forget your words, they may forget your actions, but they will never forget how you carried yourself under pressure. Emotional control makes you unforgettable. It leaves an impression of strength, stability, and authority that others cannot ignore. Respect follows naturally, and with respect comes influence, and with influence comes power. So never underestimate the value of mastering your emotions. The world may respect talent, money, or beauty for a moment, but it will respect emotional control forever. Because talent can fade, money can be lost, beauty can disappear, but emotional mastery is eternal. It is the foundation of true strength, the root of real power, and the key to earning respect in every corner of life. Emotional control earns respect and power, not just from the world, but from yourself. And once you respect yourself, you become unstoppable. Weakness is reacting, strength is choosing. That one truth can define the difference between a life of chaos and a life of power. When you react, you hand over control to the situation, to the people around you, to the emotions inside you. You become a puppet pulled by strings you don't even see. But when you choose, you reclaim control. You decide the outcome. You decide the meaning. You decide the direction of your life. That is strength, not in the absence of emotions, not in pretending pain doesn't exist, but in having the discipline to decide your response rather than letting life decide it for you. Reaction is the path of weakness because it is automatic. Someone insults you and you lash out without thought. You face a setback and you collapse into self-pity. Fear whispers in your ear and you run without hesitation. These reactions require no strength. They are instinctual, primal, and easy. But what is easy is rarely powerful. Reaction is surrendering to the lowest version of yourself. Strength, on the other hand, is deliberate. It is when you feel the same anger, but hold it, redirect it, and use it to fuel growth. It is when you feel the same sadness, but rise anyway, refusing to let it chain you down. It is when you feel the same fear, but walk forward, trembling because you chose courage over retreat. Think about the people you respect most in this world. Are they the ones who react to everything emotionally, who panic under pressure, who explode without control? Or are they the ones who remain calm when everything is falling apart, who stay focused when others are distracted, who keep moving forward despite the noise around them? Respect is never given to reactors. It is given to choosers. Those who prove that no matter what happens, they remain in command of themselves. Life constantly gives you opportunities to reveal weakness or strength. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Do you scream, curse, and let your blood boil for hours? Or do you take a breath and move on because you choose not to waste your energy? Someone betrays you. Do you seek revenge in blind rage? Or do you use that betrayal as fuel to rise so high they can never touch you again? These moments may seem small, but they define who you are. Reactors live like slaves, chained to every external event. Choosers live like warriors, deciding their own path regardless of the storm. Reaction is weakness because it costs you clarity. When you react, your vision narrows, your judgment clouds, and you often make decisions you regret later. How many people have destroyed relationships, lost opportunities, or ruined reputations because they reacted instead of choosing wisely? It takes seconds to react, but years to repair the damage. Choosing, however, is strength because it forces patience. It allows space between the emotion and the action. In that space, wisdom can enter. In that space, strategy is born. And strategy wins battles far more than rage ever will. Strength is not about being unshaken because you feel nothing. It is about being unshaken because you refuse to be controlled by what you feel. A lion may feel hunger, but it does not attack recklessly. It waits, it stalks, it chooses the perfect moment. That is why it is king. The same applies to you. Feelings will come, impulses will rise, but your true strength is in choosing what to do with them. That is what separates leaders from followers, warriors from victims, the strong from the weak. Weakness is impulsive. It needs immediate release, immediate satisfaction, immediate reaction. But strength is patient. Strength holds, calculates, and then strikes with precision. This is why the strong win. In business, those who react emotionally to every setback lose focus and quit, while those who choose discipline and persistence eventually dominate. In sports, the athlete who reacts with frustration after every mistake collapses, while the one who chooses to stay calm and adjusts rises. In war, the soldier who reacts with panic endangers his unit, while the one who chooses courage and composure saves lives. Everywhere in life, weakness is reaction, strength is choice. There is no greater freedom than choosing. When you choose, you control your destiny. The world may throw anything at you, pain, betrayal, loss, fear. But if you respond with choice instead of reaction, nothing can break you. You become untouchable because true power lies in control over yourself. The storm can rage, people can betray you, obstacles can rise. But if you remain the master of your choices, you will always find a way forward. Ask yourself right now, do you live in reaction or in choice? Do you let emotions, circumstances, and other people dictate your behavior, or do you pause, think, and act with intention? Weakness will always scream for reaction, but strength whispers, wait, think, choose. That whisper is the voice of power. That whisper is what builds empires, creates legends, and forges unshakable minds. So remember this, weakness is easy, strength is rare. Anyone can react, few can choose. Be among the few. Build the discipline to hold your fire until it serves you, to use emotions as fuel instead of chains, to make every action deliberate. The world does not bow to those who react, it bows to those who choose. And when you master that truth, when you refuse to be ruled by reaction and instead live by choice, you will walk with a strength so unshakable that nothing and no one can take your power away. An unshaken mind builds an unshakable future. Everything you desire, success, freedom, respect, peace, rests on the foundation of your mind. If your mind wavers, your life wavers. If your mind is weak, your future collapses under the weight of challenges. But if your mind is strong, steady, and unshaken, no storm, no betrayal, no loss, no failure can break you. You will always rebuild, always rise, always move forward. The mind is the architect of destiny, and only the unshaken mind can design a future that cannot be destroyed. Life will test you. It will throw chaos at you when you least expect it. Friends will betray you, opportunities will vanish, money will be lost, and fear will grip you. If your mind shakes at every hit, you will spend your life crumbling and rebuilding from scratch. You'll never move forward because every setback will reset you. But the one who stands tall when life strikes, the one whose mind remains steady, will always come out stronger. As that steadiness creates momentum, and momentum builds futures that nothing can stop. Look at the strongest people in history. They were not unshaken because life was kind to them. They were unshaken because they refused to let life bend their spirit. Warriors stood in battle outnumbered, yet unshaken in mind, and that unshaken mind led them to victory. Inventors faced ridicule and failure, but remained unshaken in their vision, and their unshakable minds gave birth to innovations that changed the world. Leaders faced nations crumbling around them, yet because their minds were steady, their people found strength and their legacies endured. The future does not belong to the lucky, it belongs to the unshaken. An unshaken mind is built through control. Control over emotions, control over fear, control over doubt. Most people let their minds run wild like untamed animals. They chase every thought, every fear, every impulse. They live in distraction, constantly pulled in 100 directions. How can such a mind build anything strong? It can't. A shaken mind creates a shaky foundation, and shaky foundations collapse. But when you master your mind, when you discipline your thoughts, when you refuse to let fear or doubt dictate your decisions, you pour concrete into your foundation, it becomes unbreakable. The unshaken mind is not one that feels no pain. It is one that feels pain but does not bow to it. Pain comes for everyone, but for some it becomes an excuse to quit, while for others it becomes the reason to push harder. The difference is mental steadiness. An unshaken mind takes pain as information, not as defeat. It asks, what can I learn from this? How can I use this? And then it grows stronger. That is why the unshaken mind always builds an unshakable future, because it never collapses under pressure. It adapts, it learns, it transforms. When fear comes, the shaken mind freezes. It avoids, it hides, it misses opportunities, but the unshaken mind looks fear in the eye and acts anyway. That choice creates growth, and growth creates power. Over years, this mindset compounds. Every time you face fear, every time you overcome doubt, every time you endure pain without breaking, you add another brick to your unshakable future. One day, what seemed impossible for others becomes normal for you because your mind has built strength layer by layer. Respect and influence naturally follow those with unshaken minds. People gravitate towards stability. In a world full of chaos and weak minds, the one who remains unshaken becomes a pillar others lean on. That influence is power, and that power shapes the future not only for yourself, but for everyone who follows you. This is why leaders must cultivate mental steadiness. If your mind shakes, your people will fall. But if your mind stands firm, you give others permission to rise. But building an unshaken mind is not easy. It demands daily discipline. You must train your mind like you train your body. Just as muscles grow through resistance, your mind grows through struggle. Every challenge is a weight for your mind to lift. If you run from the weight, your mind stays weak. If you embrace it, your mind becomes powerful. That power compounds over time until nothing can move you. The betrayal that broke you before will no longer touch you. The fear that used to paralyze you will now fuel you. The sadness that once drowned you will now sharpen you. Struggle is the gym for the mind, and consistency is how you build an unshakable one. The future is uncertain for everyone. Nobody can predict what life will bring tomorrow. But those with unshaken minds do not fear the unknown because they know they can handle it. They are not attached to circumstances. They are anchored within themselves. They do not crumble when the plan changes. They adapt. They do not fear failure. They turn it into fuel. They do not dread pain. They transform it into power. That is why their futures are unshakable, because no matter what happens, they are ready. So remember this truth. Your future is only as strong as your mind. If your mind is fragile, your future will always collapse. But if your mind is unshaken, your future will stand tall forever. Build it daily. Guard it fiercely. Train it relentlessly. Because an unshaken mind is the root of all greatness. And from it grows a future that no storm, no enemy, no obstacle can destroy. In the end, everything comes down to the state of your mind. Money can be lost, people can betray you, opportunities can vanish, and circumstances can turn against you in an instant. But if your mind is unshaken, none of it can break you. That is the ultimate power, knowing that no matter what happens outside, you are unmovable inside. An unshaken mind is a fortress. It does not mean you feel nothing. It means you feel everything and yet refuse to be controlled by it. It means you take anger and turn it into fuel. You take sadness and turn it into wisdom. You take fear and turn it into courage. With a mind like this, life cannot defeat you. The storms may rage, but you will not fall. And when you do not fall, you build. You build habits, you build strength, you build resilience, you build a future that cannot be shaken. So decide today, will you live as a prisoner to your emotions, or will you master them and shape your destiny? The choice is yours. But remember, an unshaken mind builds an unshakable future, and that future belongs to those who refuse to break.